All right, guys. Good evening. My name is Natalia McGaugh. I am the current president for the NAHSE Florida chapter. And for those of you who are new to NAHSE events, NAHSE is an acronym for the National Association of Health Services Executives. Before we actually get started, I will like to give the president-elect an opportunity to introduce herself, and then I'll go into a brief introduction of the organization to give you a little bit of background on the organization and what you can expect from NAHSE, some announcements, some housekeeping items to get us started to this event. And then we will roll right into the reason why you are here today, which is all about you. So with that, I will pause and turn it over to Tabitha.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining directly from a long day at work, I'm sure. My name is Tabitha Ball. I am the president-elect, and I will announce our guest speaker once Natalia gives you a few housekeeping and as well as updates regarding NAHSE.
Thank you, Tabitha. Again, as I mentioned, my name is Natalia, and I am delighted to have this opportunity to, again, engage with you all. NAHSE is really, it's a healthcare organization, a premier healthcare organization nationwide, with the Florida chapter being a very active chapter for the organization. The organization was put in place to develop and promote Black healthcare leaders. It was established in 1968 during a time when Blacks didn't really have much rights, nor could they actually participate in any aspect of healthcare. So something was needed to provide those individuals a platform so that they can participate in the design, the direction, and the delivery of quality healthcare, and to really render accessible healthcare to the underserved population. The organization has evolved in such a way where the Florida chapter really embodies the mission by really wanting to enhance and build the skill sets of our members and the larger community, which is why we're having this event tonight, the self-branding opportunity that you have the opportunity to have. And you'll hear a lot of great tips and tricks on how to effectively do that, because NAHSE is really committed to building the pipeline of talented healthcare individuals in any aspect of healthcare, be it on the clinical side, the operational side, and a host of others and everything in between. A couple housekeeping items as we go into the various components of this event. If you have a question, and we do encourage you to ask any question that you have, either about the actual presentation or the organization, please pop it in the chat. Your questions will be answered towards the end of the event. Also, if you are having any technical difficulties, please pop that in the chat as well, and somebody will help to address that for you. We really encourage you to engage in this event, because this is really about you. And the way in which you present yourself, you'll learn, is key in how you will be successful moving forward in your career. So we want to make sure that you take this opportunity to really hone in on some of the components that are going to be provided to you this evening. So with that, I know I'm in between you and really learning on how to effectively brand yourself. And so I want to make sure that you all get the opportunity to learn those tricks and tips. Please note that my information is accessible on our website, which is at www.nahseflorida.org. You can also find a host of other components there pertaining to our organization and the NAHSE STARS Development Program, which is again designed to help build the competencies and skill sets of our members and the larger community. So without further ado, I'll turn it back over to our esteemed president-elect so she can go ahead and host the rest of this event. Thank you again, and it's a real pleasure to have each of you here this evening. You could be anywhere, but you chose to be here with us. So you're taking your ownership of your development into your hands, and we appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks, Natalia. So I wanted to go ahead and introduce our guest speaker tonight, because again, we want to not monopolize your time after a long day of work. So our guest speaker is Grant McGaugh. He is the owner and founder of the 5-Star BDM. He was recognized by Legacy Magazine as a thought leader in the super connect of health professionals. His highlights include establishing a statewide organization for the National Association of Health Services Executives for the state of Florida, which he serves as the immediate past chair and a Regent National Board member of NAHSE. He is also the program chair for HIMMS, which provides knowledge shared programs and health information technology professionals in South Florida. He was named by Miami Legacy magazine as a South Florida's top Black healthcare professional of 2019 and an African-American achiever by JM Family in 2020. Grant has created a social conscious digital presence that inspires the healthcare community. Grant has also been recognized by Becker's Healthcare Review and best-selling author and brand master Martin Lindstrom in 2021. With over 20,000 followers, which is definitely a lot of followers. So he has made his presence well known in the community. But collectively, Grant has taught entrepreneurs, students, and multi-passionate go-getters for all walks of life how to dream big, how to back it up with daily actions to create results. And he also has acclaimed personal branding program and business development strategies for small entrepreneurs and enterprises, featuring both in NAHSE News and the Miami Herald and the Sun Centennial. We are excited to have Grant a part of this segment. He's definitely done a tremendous job in the branding aspect and teaching people how to be confident in their own skin and recognizing who they are in their craft and in their talents. So Grant, we would like to welcome you to the platform so that you could begin your segment. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tabitha and Natia, for that wonderful welcome. Makes me feel like I'm an important person. I love it. But I wanted to really thank the National Association of Health Services Executives. It was through their platform that I found my calling and a passion. And I started a movement within first South Florida, and then it grew throughout Florida, in which healthcare executives, specifically African-Americans in the healthcare sector that were in industry, but were not aware of each other. When I first started out as president, I think back in 2018, we had about 18 or so followers on our LinkedIn profile. And I understood from my background in information technology for the last 20 years and understanding how to utilize platforms like LinkedIn to connect with certain individuals that you are looking to do business with, that this was going to be an important tool. I was going to be able to use it to connect our healthcare executives so they become more aware of themselves, more aware of what the organization of NAHSE brings to the table, and that we could grow collectively together. So I'm going to show you how I did that, how I grew from those 18 first individuals to 10,000 individuals in a 2-year time frame. And that was being intentional, being very, very intentional, having a compelling story, a story in which other people wanted to not only hear about, but wanted to be a part of. That became a part of our tagline at NAHSE, and that's be a part of something great. And I enjoy everyone who took the time to join tonight so you can be a part of something great. And that greatness is really yourself. It's about branding yourself. You're going to find out that the greatest asset that you have is your own particular way of doing business, how you interact on a level with your relatives, with your peers, your employees, and really everyone within your circle. So I'm going to break this up probably into about three or four stories. But the main story is I'm going to tell you about myself just a little bit more, show you how I got started. And that's going to be the story of me. And then we're going to talk about business. And that's the business that I started as a result of this story. And then we're going to talk directly about you and how you can take this information and move your business or your career forward. That is the goal of tonight. So I'm going to share my screen so we can get started. So I got all the controls here. And also, I want to make this as interactive as possible. And what I mean by that, you've got controls down if you're in your car or if you're at home in your desktop that you can use the Q&A function. So if you have a question, I encourage you to go ahead and write that into that Q&A section. Tabitha will see it and she'll read it to me, and then we'll go ahead and get an answer. If you don't use the Q&A, you can also use the chat, and then we'll see it there as well. So let's try to make this as interactive as possible so you can ask questions, and then we can get great value out of the time that you're spending. So to get started, how I framed personal branding in the first place is that in October of 2019, this is before COVID, I actually went through a layoff at my job, and they disbanded the entire healthcare technology division in one fell swoop. My boss called me on the phone, told me that there was a downturn in the business, and we're going to dissolve the entire or that particular department, and your job is eliminated. So I found myself immediately at a point where, what do I do next? And it was great that what I did next was go to the NAHSE conference in Washington, D.C. with my colleagues, some of them that you just saw there with Natalia. And I was able to think about what my next move was going to be. And that came across very, very swiftly, very, very quickly. And that came to me in the form of individuals that learned about my particular circumstance, and then they wanted to work with me. They said, hey, you've built an incredible network in Florida. What would that look like if we worked together and we would offer you a commission-based job or opportunity in which you could make money, and then we could grow our brand within your network? I said, that sounded very interesting. So I thought about it, and then the light bulb went off. I started to realize the things that I've been doing over the last 20 years as an IT professional and building key relationships with a lot of different individuals in a lot of different markets, not only in Florida, but throughout the United States, I could use to my benefit by utilizing my brand and what I was able to accomplish with my brand. So I started 5 Star BDM, which stands for Brand Development Masters. And that is a management consulting company. And before just me telling you about it, I will let this is my business story. I will let this video play, and I'll give you a better understanding of what 5 Star BDM is all about.
5 Star BDM, Brand Development Masters, is a professional consulting and advisory group keenly focused on business development services for the small to mid-sized business and entrepreneurs. Although every business is unique, they often share business development challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. Services include process improvement and operations, digital strategy and transformation, business intelligence, digital marketing, and personal branding. Our business and personal branding company has helped a number of professionals and organizations to optimize and grow. This results in more business, more opportunities, better reach, positive outcomes. Visit www.5starbdm.com today to learn more.
Well, I hope I gave you a better understanding of what 5 Star BDM. That is an accumulation of the work that I've done over the last year and a half as an entrepreneur. I'm still in industry as a health IT professional as well, but no longer about me. This is about you. This is about what is personal branding. This is what I want to leave you with when we're done in the next hour. You should understand what is a personal brand, why is it important, and what can I do to manage it, and that's important. So right now I want to launch a poll. If you would engage with that poll, I want to get your understanding of how you define a personal brand. I'll give you some time to go ahead and see the selections and then make your choice. We've got a lot of people that have participated. We'll give it just one more minute. 30 seconds. And I think we can close. I'm going to share the results. So a lot of you said all the above. So you see value in self-promotion, reputation, your unique professional story, and career management. And you're correct. All of the above are part of a personal brand. However, I would say that the most important thing is career management. That is the why you would get involved in personal branding. Yes, you'll have elements of self-promotion, your reputation, how people look at you. That's going to be important. You got to be able to tell your story. All of that is correct. But what is the point? What is the reason? And that is your career management. That's your business management. That's the gas that propels you forward. That's why it's super important to have your personal brand, to understand your unique story and be able to tell it at a high level. So just looking at that a little deeper, and as we get into this, one of the things that I did, I engaged with a professional, and anything that you're going to take on as an endeavor, look to find someone who's already doing it at a high level, and then chart your course to get to that level. What are your gaps? What are they doing that you can't do or don't have at this particular point, but you want to acquire? So William Arruda started doing personal branding as a business about 20 years ago. This is before the internet was, well, I wouldn't say before the internet, but definitely before social media became very, very popular. So what he stated in his book is that personal branding is your most valuable career asset when you know how to uncover, express, and nurture it. That is, that's it in a nutshell. And that's your career asset. Now, how did this impact me is important, because back in 2009 is how I was first introduced to branding yourself. And I went to a corporate meeting. I was working for a company called CenturyLink, and they had a course in which they had as part of their training, and it was on LinkedIn. And the first thing that the trainer said to us is that if you're using social media just to talk to your friends and relatives, you're missing the biggest opportunity in your lifetime. Now, remember, I'm in sales, and my job is to create relationships that lead to business opportunities and ultimately lead to sales. So if I keep doing the same thing that I've been doing, if all I'm doing is picking up the phone, if all I'm doing is sending out emails or leaflets, or again, if all I'm doing is trying to go to just a networking show, we don't do those hardly anymore now because of COVID, but that was really the primary ways of doing it. They weren't doing it at the digital level. How do you network at the digital level is very, 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 very important. So that is what intrigued me, that got me started. How can I do things differently to grow my business? And I needed to differentiate myself. I needed to leverage exactly how I can show my expertise to the C-suite level in which I was interacting with, so they would become more interactive with me. Now, the first thing he did was to show a profile of someone, and I think this was an executive, and I think he was in marketing at the time, and he showed his profile. He had a very nice headshot, beautiful banner. He had, his title was very well scripted. He had a story about himself in his about page, and it was very, very well put together. And then he said, take a look at your profile. So I go to my LinkedIn profile. Remember, this is 2009. And I was shocked at what I saw. My picture was it was a full body shot. I had a casual, outfit on, nothing outstanding. I had the standard background that LinkedIn gives you just when you sign up. I just had my name there. I said, you know, IT sales guy, and had the company name, and just, you know, just little blurbs about where I had worked. Nothing outstanding. And he said to me, he's like, why would this person do business with you? And I really couldn't say a lot. And he said, he wouldn't. And not because there's anything wrong with you. You're invisible to him. You're not in his network. He's not connected with you. If you would attempt to connect with him, most likely he would deny you because you offer no value at all. There's nothing about your profile that you just stated that I had at that time that was compelling. There's nothing about it at all. It was very, very plain all the way around. So when you look at this slide and it says, you know, your character, your competence, charisma, who are you, what you do, and why you're special, all of that should be in your profile. It should be very, very easy to see, whether it's on LinkedIn, whether it's on Twitter, wherever you're doing business, or whoever you want to connect with. How are they consuming their social media? And if they're going to look you up on a Google feed, what's going to pop up? How are you influencing that? And what story are you telling? What is the story that they're going to get by looking at your digital profiles that you have out there in the social media spectrum? So that's super important. So one of the things, and you'll see I put a couple of links in the chat, some URL, some code that you'll see there. One of the ones that the first thing that I did, and it was a book by William Arruda called Digital You. He gave me an assessment, and the assessment is called a 360 or 360 reach. You probably heard of them in corporate America. They do some of these some of the time, but you need to do this for yourself. Take some initiative to do this for yourself. Take the online assessment and take a look how, number one, how you see yourself, and number two, how do you think others see you? And number three, and probably the most important, you will then send that questionnaire out to 10 of your peers or people that you feel you would want their feedback on, and you will get a persona about yourself. I have something similar on my website at 5-Star BDM. That's the other link, in which if you would fill that out on the online questionnaire, I would actually create a personal persona of you in a video format. And I do that a lot on my podcast, if you tune into any of those. But that's how I do that, because you're giving me the information, and then I am then reflecting it in a video format to give you a better understanding of who you are and how others see you. Very, very important. So that's the what of a personal brand. All right. So as we go forward, we are getting into the you part of this whole program about yourself and why that is so important. Because if you look at where you're at in your plateau, and if you want to maintain just where you're at and you're fine, that's your status quo, right? And you don't want to change. But remember, the world is constantly changing around you. It's constantly changing. So you must seek out new ways to be effective. Or, as you see here, without personal branding, you will become a commodity. And that's the worst thing in the world. That means you have no value. That means they can get you anywhere. And these are the things that we see when you don't personally or be intentional about your brand. You're just putting information out there, and you're not differentiating yourself at all. And that's very important. So you're doing yourself a disadvantage. You compare yourself to others. Many people today, if you've graduated, you've gone to school, you've got your undergrad, okay? You've gone to school and you got your MBA, that's great. And then you've gone into industry. How many profiles fit that exact same story, that exact same experience? So a hiring manager or somebody that's looking to bring you on as a client, by just getting that type of information, you haven't said anything. I mean, you've said, well, you're educated and you've worked, and that's it. So you're losing significant career opportunities, and you are definitely limiting your reach, especially the way, if you're looking for a new job opportunity, how these, I would say, algorithms work in the human resource department, and the keywords that they're looking for, and the things that differentiate you and propel you to a point of getting an interview. This is very, very important. So they're using digital technology to weed out the individuals that don't fit their profile they're looking for. Remember, they have a brand also. You hear that word and say, well, you have to be a good fit. What are they really saying? They're talking about the brand. So when you do your research, you have to look at the brand of that particular entity or facility or healthcare institution or whatnot, and take a look at your brand and see, is there some synergy there? Is there some likeness there? Is there something about you that they would be attracted to? But if you're not being intentional about that, you could be easily passed over. Very much so. So now we come to this slide. And here, and some of you in this particular webinar may remember Milli Vanilli. And I always bring them up because a lot of people remember them. They were very, very cool. You know, they were an R&B group. They had some #1 albums. I think at one point in time, they had more sales than anybody in history at the time. I think they outsold Elvis. And they finally got on stage and they got to get their Grammy. And then somebody pulled the plug on them and found out they could not sing a lick. They were lip singing the whole time. How embarrassing to find that out. How embarrassing. So what does that tell you? That you've got to be authentic with your brand. You've got to take a look at yourself and understand your skill sets, and you get into a true SWOT analysis. SWOT is your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You need to do this for yourself. I was talking to someone on a podcast recently, and we were getting to that discussion. When you look into the mirror, just like I'm looking at my own image right now, I'm only seeing maybe 180 degrees or less of myself. I'm not seeing 360 degrees. I'm not seeing everything you're seeing. I'm not seeing what 28, 29, 30 people are seeing. Everybody's going to get a different perception of who I am. I need to influence that as much as possible with the knowledge and skills that I possess. I actually operate on 3 levels in my field as an entrepreneur and a health IT executive, meaning I have to be likable. I have to make sure that that meter is up. I have to be knowledgeable, and I have to be relatable. All those 3 things have to make up my persona. So if I'm projecting myself and I'm not known for those types of things, I'm known as someone that they don't like, that they don't think I'm intelligent, or I'm just completely not, understanding what is relatable to them in this particular issue, I'm missing an opportunity. So I don't want to be claiming to do anything. I need to know it. That means I need to become a subject matter expert in my field, and I need to project it as much as possible so that that perception is picked up. And there's no better way of doing that than social media, right? So when we think about creating your brand, and what does that really look like? And how do we start to do that, right? I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second. And I think I'm just going to ask Tabitha, is there a question in the chat, or is that just something else? Not sure.
I've actually answered the question that was in the chat, so there are no questions at this time.
Okay, good. All right. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to actually show you my LinkedIn profile, right? And give you some tips. And I want you to do the work, look at your own LinkedIn profile and see how it matches up. See what's important. So the first thing, and this is the other link that I sent to you, is your social selling index. It's a link. If you click on that link, it's going to tell you where you rank in your industry. It's going to tell you where you rank in your network for some important information about the people that you want to connect with. So in my particular case, I'm in the top 1% currently in the social, I hate pronouncing it, social selling index, like a tongue twister. And over here, this is what they're compiling of the score, right? So just looking at my brand presence, not too bad, right? According to them. And that's just you're establishing your professional brand name. There's a meter, they're measuring that particular component. Am I connected with the right people? What does that look like, right? What's my engagement look like with the kind of posts that I'm putting out there? What does that look like and how is it scoring? And am I building relationships? Which in my case, I'm building a lot of relationships. They like that, right? They also show a comparison of people that are also in my industry doing the same thing or the same type of job or profession or business. Their average score is 29, right? And the people in my network, just in my particular network, their average score is 47. So I'm doing very, very well in this aspect. You would put me in the aspect, you say, well, this guy's a brand master. So it's just not me saying it. Again, it's being authentic. It's actually doing it, you know, and that's what's important. So the information I'm going to give you might help you improve your social selling index. I think I just pronounced that right.
Grant, quickly, there's a question from Charlotte.
Yes.
How did you find this section on LinkedIn? How do you find this section on LinkedIn?
The social selling index. Okay, if you look into the chat, you'll see one of the links that I put in there. If you click on it, it'll take you directly there. If you don't see it, then you can Google it and say social selling index. And again, if your LinkedIn is open, it'll go ahead and score it and you'll see exactly what your profile will say. So it's very individualized for you. All right. So let's take a look at this. This is the banner page. Remember in my first part of my story, I said my banner page was just the standard, which is just plain. It's just a plain gray banner. There's nothing to it. Well, you can use tools to create this banner. This was this little circle here. You can actually click it and and I'll do it now. And then this allows you to either change it, you know, or apply it or just move it around or whatnot, just to give you an idea. But what I want to do, and if you don't mind, Tabitha, you can write this into the chat, write www.canva.com. That C like Charles, A like Apple, N like Nancy, V like Victor, A like Apple.com. That'll take you to a free marketing site that you can create collateral. Doesn't cost anything. You can sign up with your Facebook account. And then when you get there, you put into the search bar, LinkedIn banner. Just put in your LinkedIn banner. It's going to come up with templates that you can then use to customize your background. And that's what I did. I was able to put in my picture. I was able to put in some of my accolades, award-winning visionary, IT sales professional, make the connection, and then Grant McGaugh. Right, and you can do that, and you see a number of different people doing it in a number of different ways. It's pretty important. It's an opportunity, again, to brand yourself, to talk about your skills. These things that you see here are coming from my 360. These aren't me saying it. This is coming from others. So if I can reflect what other people are seeing and saying about me within my own brand profile, that's pretty powerful. So that's why I create this banner page. The other is this particular headshot. You want to make sure you have a professional headshot, not something you just took with a phone, not something your friends did. Go ahead and spend a little bit of money, make an investment in yourself, right? And get a professional headshot and go ahead and upload it. Now, another thing that they're doing now, they'll let you do a short video. So if you click here, I think you'll see it. see here. I didn't want to do that. I can't do it right now, but what it does is that you can upload a small video. When people come to this page, it's probably because I've been on it for a while. But if you go to my page yourself, you'll see that this will spin into a video. The same video that you saw earlier, it'll play like 5 seconds of it, which is great. It's part of the branding. Now this here, I want to show you is pretty important. Just where my name is, but you see this little icon? If you have a difficult name to pronounce, like sometimes people like, they look at, I pronounce McGaugh and they're like, is that Mcgoff? Is that McGaugh? How do you pronounce it? Well, if you click on this little icon, you can record it.
Grant McGaugh.
And it'll say your name.
Grant McGaugh.
Right? So if you have a name like Natalia, who's our president, when you see your name, a lot of people want to say Natoya. Well, if she would record her name, that will stop a lot of that. They'll know exactly how to pronounce your name, because the first thing someone will do in this day and age in 2021, they're going to look you up on LinkedIn. And so you want to be able to give that first impression. What does your first impression say about you? If you're going into an interview, let's make it easy for them. How do you pronounce your name? You know, I'm going to click on this. Hey, man, that was so good. That was wonderful. I know exactly how to pronounce your name. Also, underneath, instead of just putting my title, healthcare account executive, connection enterprise. Again, that's very commoditized. Let's talk about what I do, who I am. What do I do well? Health IT. You can actually go in, this little icon here is, and customize this field any way you like. You can put keywords in this particular field. And why keywords are important for SEO, or search engine optimization, is that you'll come up into searches very easily. So when people are searching, what, an HR executive, I need a new healthcare operations manager. I'm just going to type in health operations manager in the field, and I'm going to click on people. And guess what? You're going to come to the top of that feed, because you're going to have that kind of information in this field, healthcare operations, not just your title or something to that effect. I'm talking about who I am, what I do, design thinker, podcast host, solving healthcare challenges with technology solutions. So I do cater to the health IT field, and that's a bulk of my 12 or so odd thousand different followers that you see here. The other 8, 9, 10 are just on other social media sites, right? So this is what people are going to see when they first open up your page. So that's very important to look at. The other thing is and I want to see, where's that about section here? See, my eyesight's not all that great. But in your about section is where you want to put your story. That's your personal story. You don't want to just put any little thing there. Here it is down here, right? In this about section, you don't want to just put some bullet points about things you can see on a resume. This is where you want to tell a story, read a book. You want to entertain someone. And those first 3 sentences are what is most important, because that's a grabber. They're not going to click down to the see more unless these first 3 sentences grab them. People are my business. I can't even see the rest of it because it's hard for me to see, but you can get the idea of what I'm talking about. So that's very, very important to have something that's compelling. You want them to see more, because the rest of this information you can really pick up on a resume, right? You see, this information here is not on a resume. And what your featured area, you can actually control this area. So if you have particular posts that were very, very impactful, they had a lot of engagement. The thing that LinkedIn likes and a lot of these social media platforms like is engagement. They will promote you if you know how to give it what it needs. You want to feed it. And if you feed it the right information, it's going to self-promote for you. Just like in this particular case here, you see this is this webinar that we're on now. There's the podcast. If you have not heard the podcast, Miss Tabitha Ball will tell her story. It's called Tell the Story. tell your story. Beautiful story, what she talks about herself and how she became a chief operations officer. So I did this on purpose because this audience that's coming in here now, I wanted you to see this, and I can control that. So don't just set your LinkedIn, forget about it, and not understand the tool that it is. Now, when it comes to how to grow your network, you've got to be intentional about putting good quality information that it goes out. As people engage with you, is then how you then engage with them and ask them to connect with you. That's what I did. And before I was doing, being more proactive and finding people and connecting, asking them to connect with me. But you also want to not just get the connection, you want to interact with them. You want to get as much interaction as possible with them. And as they interact with you, what I did with NAHSE Florida is that when we would do a webinar like this, people would interact. I'd see they were not a part of the organization. I then would say, would you like additional information about NAHSE? Remember, this is not a sales pitch. I tell people all the time, this is the worst time at this particular juncture to do a sales pitch to somebody. All you're doing is creating a relationship. It's the same thing if you're physically there, and if you walk up to somebody and you say hello, and they give your name, and they immediately start giving you this pitch about their business and what they do, and you don't even hardly know this individual. Let's dialogue a little bit before you tell me, all your exciting new widgets and products that you have. That's just being courteous and kind, and really it's just common. So what I did is that, hey, I saw you interacted with our site. Did you like it? They would probably say yes or no or something to that effect. And say, would you like more information about NAHSE? And they said, yes, I would. Then I would send that to them. And that's how I was able to grow the network, into the thousands, and get, the state to grow from just South Florida to Florida. And then I'm telling the rest of the chapters to do the same thing. So pretty important stuff when it comes there. So when we get down to this creating brand you, this is what I wanted you to see, right? So you want to be able to define your skill sets, do the online assessments, understand what your market is looking for, find someone who is doing what you want to do, but have been doing it for a number of years, and try to emulate them or connect with them or ask them how they're doing what they do. A lot of times people love to talk to other people, whether it's through a digital profile or not. And these days, people are more used to video conferencing. So it's very, very easy to have a 15, 30-minute consult with somebody. And it's a good way to find a mentor and a mentee. Again, if you've branded yourself correctly, so you know what you're up against. They're going to tell you about that. And if you've niched down, meaning don't be so all over the place. Okay, if you tell me you're a healthcare operations executive, great. All right. So what do you do well? What is that? You've got to give me more, because all you've done is take it from healthcare, which is, I don't know, let's just say 20 million people, down to maybe there's 2 million people. I need you to get down to where there's 20,000. Let's get down to your niche. What do you do super well? What is your super power that you leverage again and again to get to where you're at now, and what will get you to where you want to go, or you need to develop those new skill sets to develop the type of future that you're looking for. And that's called finding your voice. But when you're doing that, again, you are being intentional about it. You're being intentional. You're going to find a new muscle that you didn't have before. You're going to separate yourself from the herd, and you're going to be on top of your own hill, and people will look up to you because it's like, wow, you're doing something great. I like this. And that's how we get into the development of yourself. How are you going to develop yourself, especially when you're looking at, how do I do, what's my target audience? Before you can get there, you got to develop who you are and what is your niche and what are your skill sets. And then who needs those skill sets? What problem are you solving with your business or your career. Understand that. What problem am I solving? Not just, I'm just a hospital executive. What's the problem that I solve? I help people that are sick to get well, and start to hone in on that and really drill into that, because that's what people want and need. They don't just need, the solution. They need you to understand the problem. And if you are the solution to a problem that comes together, because that's where they're at in their bridge. They're dealing with the problem. And then they need to understand that you understand that problem so they can get to a higher solution. So that's good. And then that'll get you to the audience. That's self-defining. Once you define yourself, you're going to understand who needs your service. And then you're going to know you don't need thousands of people in the network. You need the right people. That's what makes my network valuable, because I have those 10 or 20,000. They're really mostly in healthcare and in information technology. They're not all over the place. I did that intentionally. I'm only connecting with the audience that can benefit from the solutions that I have, that the problem that I'm solving. So if they're having a problem, say they see me as a problem solver, I'm a subject matter expert, they're going to engage with me because they see what I'm doing and I'm projecting that on a daily basis. All right. So that answers right there. Answer why you are the go-to person. That's just what you want to do with your posting. You want to reflect all of that you're the go-to person. Your expertise is reflected in your post. It's reflected in what you're doing. You're answering the question of why and what and how and who all the time. And like, wow, man, that person is phenomenal. You wonder why, certain people get the promotions. Today, I just was on a podcast. I recorded today a healthcare executive, Roy Hawkins Jr., as he just moved on to Atrium Health in North Carolina. And I asked him, what are you leveraging over and over again, as I've watched him in the last 3 years get 3 different promotions? And he said, you know what it is? I'm just networked with the right people who are tuning in to my expertise. And I'm constantly doing that. He knows his strengths and he promotes his accomplishments. He put a post out, I think it was just yesterday. And one day he had over 500 likes and I don't know how many comments. And that's because he doesn't know all those people in the network, but they see the value. They see what he's doing. They see that he is somebody that I want to connect with and do business with because he is an expert in his field. So let's take a good look at yourself. When you Google yourself, I can tell you without me even thinking about it, if you Google my name, Grant McGaugh, I already know what's going to come up. You're going to see my LinkedIn link profile. You're going to see my associations with HIMSS. You're going to see my Twitter feed. You're going to see associations with NAHSE and my website, my business. For the most part, that's what, as you scroll down, you can see more and more of those things that I just talked about. And I've done that intentionally. That's how Google is not, I don't work for Google, right? But I'm making Google work for me, not against me. I'm filling it with the information that I want it to project. You can do the same thing. Now, if you have a more common name, so you say, well, there's other Tabitha Balls out there, or something like that, you can customize your name. I put it in like your middle initial. You start going by that. There's probably not a lot of like this, as for instance, a Tabitha E-Ball, or you customize it a little bit more. So everything about you is going to come up to that top feed. And as you start moving forward deeper and deeper into personal branding, when you have your own personal website, those are the kinds of digital assets that you want to own. That's another thing in personal branding. I don't own LinkedIn. I don't own Facebook. I don't own Instagram, Twitter, but I do own my website. And I can put what I want on there to a certain degree, and I control the database that's there. I don't control the database in the other ones. So it's very, very important to have your own digital home that you control, that you actually own. All right. And we kind of cover this because that is exactly what people will do. It's the simplest, easiest way to get a profile on someone. You'll just Google you. They'll look you up on LinkedIn in a heartbeat, not doing anything malicious. They just want to see who you are, if they're going to engage with you or not, and I do it all the time as a sales professional. Like, all right, I've got this new person. We're about to talk. I want to know who, where they've been, what's their history, what's there. And I'm going to get a quick view. I'm not going to do a super deep dive. I'm just going to look at that top profile that I just showed you. That's going to tell me in about 2 to 3 minutes exactly what you're about. Well, that's the perception I'm going to give about you. You want to make sure that you're controlling that perception. Because if it's a recruiter who's looking at your profile and you're looking for that next job, that next opportunity, that next business client, 70%. This is a staggering stat. 70% of recruiters have rejected candidates based on info found online. Now, who controls that? You do. You've got to be intentional. Because like I said, I'm going along, working at a job, 4.5 years, everything's great, everything's good. If I'm not managing my digital profile and I look up, oops, I just got laid off. Wow, I got to go in and now I'm working backward. I've got to now try to create my own digital profile. I'm looking at a different way. I've got a CV. I've got a resume I haven't looked at in 4 years. I got to pull out that together. I'm looking at my digital presence. It doesn't say anything about who I am now, but yet I'm filling out job applications. I'm wondering why I'm not getting a call back. I'm just going to stop.
Right, we have a question.
Yep.
And the question about, and then we're getting close to 7 o'clock. We did start a little late, so just bear with us. We have a few announcements at the end. So I'm sure you're enjoying the segment and we want you to keep your attention. So the question is from Kendall Brown. Someone famous has my name. How do I trump their pages online in search results?
Yeah, I kind of talked about that. If they have your exact name, Kendall Brown, and they're already branded at a super high level, that's going to be difficult, especially if kendallbrown.com is taken over. So look at what I would do is I would start looking at building my own website, number one, that is personally branded to me, and look at what's available from your hosting site. So again, you could use, maybe it's a middle initial or something that's going to differentiate you, but that's what you have to do, unless you're going to buy the URL from Kendall Brown, which he probably would sell it to you, but it's probably going to cost you a pretty penny to do so. So I hope that answers your question. Any other question? Tabitha, we good?
No. Hold on 1 second. I think another question just came in. I'm sorry. Oh, she said Kendall Brown is from.
I think she just got stuck. It's all right. So hopefully you're still hearing me. We'll see if Tabitha can get unstuck there. But we'll get back to that question. But as we wrap up, you start to get the understanding of why. The job opportunities I just talked about. When you're looking at promotions, the promotions usually will go to people that are proactive. They see their problem solvers and they projected it into the boardroom. And so when opportunities come available, your name comes to the top. It's not going to come to the top all of a sudden you did something great yesterday. That's going to come to the top immediately because they know who you are. You've increased the awareness, you've increased your influence, and you were very, very intentional about that. You were very, very intentional about that. And that's what personal branding is all about, is intent. All right. And then I kind of talked about this a little earlier about social media, 7x more than any of the leads. So if you're trying to get leads through email, phone calls, those are two traditional ways that they're doing it now. There's snail mail. But if you can convert on in-mail, on social media, because it's almost this world of personal and business at the same time, 7x more. That's powerful. That should tell you if you're looking to increase your opportunities for jobs, you're looking to increase your opportunity for a business, you want to use social media, and you've got to have the right armor. You want to be dressed to impress. I tell people all the time, when you go to a business meeting, you have a suit, tie, you have your best foot forward. You need to have your best foot forward in your digital world, in your social media, your best foot forward at all times. If you're going to command those 6 and 7 figure salaries and businesses that you're looking probably to do. So you want to build that brand community. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. If you do want more information from me, I will be available, and I'll get you that information as first. But as I was stating earlier, LinkedIn, your first impression, you want to build a great profile, right? And you want to leverage the power of pictures. If anyone here has been following me at all, they probably see that I use a lot of rich media. I do, whether it's through pictures, whether it's through video content, and I use that with my podcast because that brings people to me. It's a magnet that is used to bring them to my website, to bring them to me personally, to then understand what can I do to solve their problem. So I want you to continue to deliver your brand daily. You want to make sure you have a call to action, whatever that is. Do the work to define what that call to action is. What do you want your network to do? And you've got to fuel that fire, instill curiosity. Remember, be authentic, and your appearance, your style has got to be on point. Again, you won't show up to a party looking like you're going to Target. This is a party all the time on social media, especially on LinkedIn. So you want to look like you're ready for business at all times on social media, right? So you are in the business of self-branding. Remember to use, whether it's written content as well, how you're writing. If you're not a good writer, or you're just not sure about your videos, you're not sure how to do that. That's why I built 5-Star BDM. I've started a movement of people that are in jobs that they say, you know what, I have more talent than this, but I'm not being utilized. Remember, a job will only pay you what they can afford to pay you, not what you're worth. You need to understand what you're worth. You need to do the work to understand how to command a higher salary, whether that's by, again, self-promotion or starting your own business. And I highly encourage everyone to get an LLC, because when you're in between jobs and that type of thing, you'll always have something on your resume that shows that you're continuously employed, you're continuously doing something. So I'm going to conclude now. I showed you that because I want you to follow me on my podcast, on my TV station that's coming out. It actually is out. It's a pilot that's out on YouTube right now. So I'm continuing to do this at a high level. I understand that it's a calling, and I'm bringing a lot of people to the table to create visibility, to give them opportunities that they did not have. I do truly appreciate everyone tonight. And if there's any other questions that we have time, I'll go ahead and answer them now. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Grant. Grant, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I had to revert to my phone. I had lost internet connection, so I do apologize for the interruption. So I wanted to thank Grant for this opportunity. I also wanted to let everyone know before you adjourn is that these are the type of events we want to be able to have in the future. And as I walk into the presidency next year, we're going to be soon announcing or sending out nomination forms for individuals that would like to be a part of the NAHSE board, to nominate themselves and nominate someone that you would like, that you think will be a good fit. As we move forward, NAHSE is our platform, just like the branding yourself is your voice. NAHSE is a voice and a platform so that we can encourage one another so that diversity, inclusion, and health equality is not just statements, but we can actually present and bring these type of educational and materials to the audience of people that are like-minded, that look like us. And so I would love to, again, if you're not a member, please email me. If you want to be a part of NAHSE, please email me. But we want to move forward, again, in events like this to be able to educate ourselves, no matter what platform you're on or how high you are right now in the hierarchy on your job. We still all can learn from one another. We still can all grow. We still can continue our brand. But as a team, when it came out during the pandemic that we're in this together, where we are in this together, to be able to, again, educate the young professionals, people that are in school, people that are on jobs that probably just recently started a job and want to understand how they, move up and climb the ladder and continue to grow in their passion. But this is a time not to be an island, but to be able to, again, let's join together, join forces to be able to bring, again, knowledge and education to people that don't know. So be thirsty for helping one another. Let's be thirsty to gain that knowledge so that we can have that voice in our communities and have that voice, nationally to help those, again, that don't know. So I challenge, you guys to, again, be a part of something great, which is NAHSE, and more events to come like this as we, strategize as we go into the next couple of years. There will be events that, iron sharpened iron. So we want to make sure, again, that we encourage each other, that we bring things to the table that would be helpful to the audience. So if you have a specialty, or if you have something that you do that may, you want to share, or you feel like would help someone else on their job or while they're in school, please, again, email me, be a part of NAHSE, because we, as they say, when you get on an airplane, put your tray tables up and we get ready to take off. We are doing just that. So thanks again for your participation. Any questions, please email me. We will definitely get right back with you. And again, thanks for joining. Have a great evening, and we'll see you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.